Welcome. My name is Jodie Frew, and I'm the Multi-Industry Acceleration Lead for IoT in EMEA, based out of London. I have the daily pleasure of collaborating with the Intel and Microsoft partner ecosystem. Today, we have the pleasure to hear from Axions, a Microsoft Azure and Intel partner. They have prepared a presentation on GreenEdge. This presentation will highlight the collaboration between Axions, Intel, and Microsoft in order to achieve a common goal. In this case, the Axions GreenEdge utilizes key technologies to address real-time AI insights to measure carbon emissions for Vinci Energy via their consumer app, putting energy control into the hands of the consumer, which is just brilliant. GreenEdge is a strong shift forward in addressing key sustainability pillars for a better, greener planet for us all. Now let's hear how Axions is helping businesses measure and achieve their sustainability targets with GreenEdge.
So, welcome to the Hive. This is the Hive, the innovation center of Vinci Energies in Sweden. The climate has an extreme situation, we all know that. The problem is that there's so many stakeholders, so politics and legislation takes a lot of time. So every organization needs to take their own responsibility. So this seminar today is going to talk about what Vinci Energies has been doing in terms of action to get better. When it comes to the solution that we're going to see, it's called the GreenEdge. It has been developed by Vinci Energies and it's built on Microsoft and Intel technology. So what you're going to see is a real-time CO2 footprint calculator, a real-time CO2 footprint calculator. And what we're going to see is how to create awareness for our employees, how to create engagement. We are going to see how to get the real data, how to take away an extreme administrative burden of all the people that are involved in doing this. And we're going to see how you can compare where you are at with the goals that you have for 2030. So now one of the initiators of this project, Emmanuel Dunat, he's also the pole director for one of the pole directors for Vinci Energies in Sweden. He's going to tell us how this all started. So Emmanuel, how did this all start?
Vinci Energies is a large international company with a mission: accelerating energy transition and digital transformation. Together with our 85,000 colleagues, we are the brains, the arms, the legs making happening this energy transition and digital transformation on our more than 200,000 sites all over the world, all around the year. As a company, we have a strong culture and are very special in two ways. First, it's our organization. We are a very decentralized organization that actually is a network of 1,800 business units. And what we mean by business units, it's a group of entrepreneurs having full autonomy to define its strategy and execute it. Our second specificity is our strong focus on the global performance, which means that we don't only run for financial performance, but we are highly focused on our impact on the people and our impact on the planet. This is at the heart of our strategy, and going back to our environmental commitments, we took very ambitious and clear commitments. The one I want to talk about today is more the carbon emissions commitment, where we want to reduce by 40% our carbon emissions until 2030 and to be carbon neutral in 2050. And that's where comes the big question. How, in a so decentralized group, can we succeed with a global strategy? How do we do so that every manager gets committed to this? And that's why we developed this tool, GreenEdge, because we believe that the way to do it is to give the reliable information to the manager and to rely on them that they know the best what they have to do to achieve this performance. But to manage this, we need to be able to deliver them with the right information at the same level as the financial information, that they can know on a live basis how much carbon they emit every month. And you may know how challenging this is, because you have to aggregate a lot of data from various sources. You have to display it in a very pedagogical way so that everybody can understand and act upon it. And you have to have automatic reporting so that it's easy to happen. So that's why we took the initiative together with the teams of Axians, one of the brand in VINCI Energy, to develop this tool, GreenEdge, together with Intel and Microsoft.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Okay, I think I understand. You want to provide your business unit managers with a tool to keep track of their CO2 footprint. Okay, so we are going to talk with Nathalie Veloso, the product owner of this GreenEdge. Nathalie, could you please tell us a little more about the solution?
GreenEdge is a carbon emission calculator that focuses on addressing challenges such as diverse emission, data aggregation, and data accuracy using API integrations, real-time data, and file imports. The GreenEdge tool comes with a dashboard that you can use in an entrance, or if you want, you could just export it to PDF and share it with your colleagues and customers. At the top, we see the navigation bar that will follow the company's management structure. As we can see here, we are at the director level, and he has 8 business units that you can see in the actual result of in the different graphs. The first graph shows the current year on a monthly basis with the target of where he wants to be at the end of this year. In the second graph, you can see the yearly emissions from when we started to collecting the carbon emission data for his business unit. In the left panel, he can get a quick overview of which emission is mostly used based on different categories. As Emmanuel did not mention, VINCI Energies wants to decrease their carbon emission with 40% up to 2030 from 2018's figures. And therefore we have a small thermometer where he can just have a quick overview of where they started and where they are and how much they should decrease per year. The director can also follow the different actions taken by his business unit to decrease the carbon emission during the year. At the right bottom panel, you can see which business unit that has the highest reduction up to that year. And if you have any other specific goal for your business unit, you can just add it there and see how they are doing. This is the aggregated view for a director, but if we look into one of his business unit, this dashboard is for one of his specific business unit. And as you can see, it will only show the actual values for that specific business unit, but the rest of the dashboard will just look the same with only his data. One of the difference between the aggregated view and the business unit view is the activities that they have set themselves for that upcoming year. So they are able to follow those activities and how much that will impact on the total budget that they have set. The tool has an admin page where you can administrate all the data that is shown in the dashboard. As we can see here, we have some general information about the actual business unit that you have and all your sites in where you can administrate your emission sources. To set your budget and actions, you just go to the budget and action section, and then you will start by setting a baseline, as we can see here. And then the tool will calculate the reduction that you need to have in order to reach your goal. That might be 2030 or 2050 or any other goal that you set. To set your action, you only add a new action. We have some suggested action for you that will help you to calculate the carbon emission decrease, or you will just set whatever action you have, and then you'll add the impact of that specific action.
Thank you, Natalie. So let me see. You are showing in the tools the goals, and you are showing the where we are at, and you're showing the actual emissions and the actions that are planned for the coming year and the outcome of those. Cool. And you can show that on any company level. So a relevant question here would be, how is this built? So Mikael Håkansson, lead architect and also a Microsoft MVP since 15 years, I think. Can you please tell us a little about the architecture of the solution?
Yes, I'm here to give a short introduction of the design and architecture of the GreenEdge application. Now, to begin with, the GreenEdge application was built as a cloud-first application. And this gives us some capabilities that we can immediately take advantage of. For example, we have a ever-growing backlog of feature requests and fixes that we need to deploy on a weekly basis. To do that, we're using the GitHub Actions integrated with the cloud resources that we have to automate that deployment. Not only just for a single data center or a single location, but across the globe. The Azure portal also gives us the capabilities and give us insight to all these regions and all those resources for us to monitor their health and the performance. Cloud or deploying cloud applications are also a lot about the capabilities of scaling. And we are looking at scale from two perspectives. One would be from a geographical standpoint. If you are a user located in, say, Melbourne, Australia, you are likely not getting a great user experience if we were to deploy our solutions in, say, East US. So to help us here, we can use the Azure capabilities to expand and replicate that data out to all data centers across the globe. And furthermore, to use the traffic manager to be able to provide a shortest route for the users to access those applications. But it's also about regional scale. While in mid-noon in Europe, we might experience some load, whereas at the same time our friends in Melbourne would probably be asleep. And our colleagues in the US would probably just about wake up. So we need to be able to scale our application to whatever is needed in each of those different regions. Not just scaling out or up, we also need to be able to scale down the application to get cost efficiency of the whole solution. Now, as Natalie briefly mentioned, we are able to capture both real-time data from meters and sensors alongside integrated data from external data sources. Now, we sometimes refer to this as site-related data and non-site-related data. Site-related data are typically things like electricity, district heating, gas, water, while the external data sources could be a system to manage your company cars or your travel agent or even your expense reports. Now, all this data is collected and pushed up to the cloud. But before we talk about it any further, we have to acknowledge a very big challenge. And it is that all these different data sources have their own emissions. Not only their own emissions, but also their different scales and units. For example, electricity would be measured in kilowatt hours, whereas gas or water would be more in say, cubic meters. If you're looking at travel, you will look at distance, and if you're looking at consumption of diesel, you will measure that in gallons or liters. Now, all these different emission sources need to be converted into a common format, a common unit. And this unit is called carbon dioxide equivalent, or short CO2e. And this is accomplished in an Azure data lake, where the data is enriched from data already existing in the GreenEdge application to produce a common measurement that we can build our forecast, budgets, and KPIs from. Now, as the data is computed in Azure, it ends up being located in any of the data stores that we have. And we're using Cosmos DB to have for stateless data. We're using time series insight for aggregated data, and for relational data, we're using SQL Server. Now, the GreenEdge application is then using and visualizing that data to where it's needed, but could further also be exported to external data sources and partners for that matter. And with that, I'm going to leave it over to Jan Hellgren again.
Thank you, Mikael. So to summarize, it's built for scale, and it's built for converting whatever data into CO2 emissions. Interesting. But I was thinking, Natalie, what if I have emissions that varies? Let's say that I have two different electricity providers, one with wind and one with coal or something. What do we do then?
That is administrated in the emission source section that you find in the admin page. You can just...
So this section here.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So what you do is that you just add your emission source, add the factor, and the GreenEdge tool will easily calculate the carbon emission equivalent.
But let's say that I have a totally different emission. I have cows producing methane. What do I do then?
That's handled in the same way. It doesn't matter what kind of emission source you have. You will administrate it in the same way, add your emission factor unit, and the GreenEdge tool will help you to calculate the carbon dioxide equivalent.
Okay, I understand. But let's say like in this building, we have other companies in the same building. How do I divide a building?
Well, that's something that you can administrate in your sites. So in the site section, you are able to see to tell if you're sharing your emission, and that's calculated based on a square meter, emissions by square meter.
Aha, and I can set sort of a percentage between how much of the building I have. I understand. But let's say that I'm in a company that already have solutions for entering this data, and I might have my own dashboard already. Do I have any value with GreenEdge then?
Oh yeah. All data that is gathered within GreenEdge is accessible through our API, so we can just integrate it with your existing system and you can visualize it there.
Cool. I'm sold. We are now going to Frankfurt, to our innovation center in Germany, Digital Schmiede. And there we have Christine Fanselow, that is head of the application Carbon Footprint app. There you can use the same data as we have been showing here, but you can also involve all of your employees. And Christine is going to show us that.
Well, Jan, it's easy to help companies with Action's sustainability solutions. We invented a carbon footprint app that helps companies to track and reduce the business carbon footprint within teams. I will give you now a short walkthrough through our app. So we transform companies with the CO2 platform and our app. Our software as a service includes carbon accounting and impact-oriented employee engagement. But what does it mean and why are we doing this? So we are helping companies to prepare for the new Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive from the European Union. And this is effective from January 2023 for all companies with more than 250 employees and a certain amount of revenue or assets. And so The idea is to support managers to track and reduce the carbon footprint of their business unit, to set goals and seek advice, and to support them to challenge and reward their employees. And the employees are able to inform themselves, exchange ideas, and will be motivated with a credit system and gamification. And here I can show you some screenshots from our native app. So this is the company footprint and the years that you would like to compare. In the case of VINCI Energies, we are preparing ourselves to reduce our carbon footprint by 40% until 2030. That's why we have here 2018 until 2030. And you see the current year that you are tracking. And of course, you can have a deep dive. What's the content of your emissions into the different scopes or levels, and then you have really a good transparency where your main levers are. On the team level or business unit level, you have a very similar dashboard in the beginning. And you can also see how many effect you have from business travel, from commuting trips, the use of machinery, depending on your organization. And you can motivate your team with business unit missions. So the people are able to vote on the missions, and it's really an interactive tool. And here on the employee level, you have something like your yearly carbon emission budget, and you can see how much you already consumed and with which categories. That means how much you traveled, how much is your commuting, and the use of your machineries if you have them or use them. And if you like, you can attend challenges. You will receive notifications when you receive points, because you will receive points when you track your own mobility. You can see this here, how it's looking like. And of course, you have assisting systems like GPS or the usage of a smart ID with an IoT device. So everything's possible here. You can also use some kind of templates. So it is very easy and intuitive. And if you like, you can connect with the green community in your company and watch some videos related to sustainability and educate yourselves within platforms. And here you have also an integration of social media. We have Microsoft Yammer, and it's really nice because it's integrated. You can connect the challenges with social media, and you have a really nice spirit in the company if you use it right. And yeah, in the beginning, we are doing a little profiling quiz so that you are in a fair reference group where you have fun together and can exchange and receive points. And yeah, if you have enough points, who knows, you will receive some kind of environmental report or some gifts. And these gifts can be defined by your business unit manager or your CEO or environmental manager. That depends on the company. Everything is easy to exchange. We have a white label product, so that's something that can be adapted for any company. And yeah, if you are interested, just connect with us. And thank you for sharing, and thank you for your time. I will hand over back to you, Jan.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you all for listening. This was all what we had from the Hive, Innovation for Good, here in VINCI Energies in Stockholm. For any more information, or if you would like to contact us, please follow any of these links that you will see. Thanks, and hope to see you soon.
What an insightful overview from Axions and VINCI Energy on how technology is enabling to address Scope 3 of the VINCI Energy sustainability journey. The Intel and Microsoft teams will be working closely with Axions and VINCI Energy as our journey continues, and leveraging key pillars from the Intel and Microsoft sustainability journey to ensure all targets are met and new motions continue to evolve. Thank you.